Okay, now on to the second part of my video, the reading goals and dilemmas. Thanks for sticking around, guys, with me. We could do this. For the first one, it looks like Chunk wants me to read a middle grade. I mainly read adult, but I wanted to read a book this year that the 10-year-old me would have picked out. So I chose The Bone Snatcher by Charlotte Salter. This is a story about a girl named Sophie. The world has gone into madness. Her parents have abandoned her, and she's trapped in a creepy mansion with creepy people, and she can't leave because it is surrounded by sea creatures. And I'll zoom in on the cover. And her only way out is to find something called a monster box by an inventor. So this definitely sounds right up my alley. For all you non-horror people, this would be a good Halloween read. But I carry Halloween in my heart every day, so I can read this whenever I want. Okay, and for the second book, it looks like Mouth wants me to read a classic I read in school. And for this one, I chose The Outsiders. This is the 50th anniversary by S.E. Hinton. This is a classic. All I know is I hear the phrase, "Stay gold, pony boy, stay gold," and I still get very emotional. And I don't remember fully why. So I don't want to read the synopsis because I feel like I'll remember the book if I do. So I'm going to go into this one blind. But this is a classic. If you haven't read it, I can already tell you should, because it has stayed with me in my heart, just not in my brain fully. So I'm going to... All right, and next up we have Mikey wants me to read a mystery. Go figure, Mikey. Of course you do. And I have chosen The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. This is the UK version. The US version has that half on there that I found kind of annoying. This is by Stuart Turton. This takes place at a ball, and at the end of the night, Evelyn Hardcastle is killed. She's the daughter of the house. And the day will keep repeating itself until her murder is solved by a man named Aidan. And the twist is that Aidan keeps waking up in a different body. So I don't normally read just straight mystery, but that twist kind of enthralls me to read it. It sounds right up my alley. The only thing that'll annoy me about this book is if the twist is not explained of how and why Aidan is able to do that. So I'm really looking forward to this book, and it gives me Clue vibes because it has this really cool map on the inside. Let me show you. It makes me just think of, you know, in the dining room with the candlestick with Colonel Mustard kind of vibes, you know what I mean? So this will definitely put me in a mystery mood. All right, it looks like up next, One-Eyed Willie wants us to read Lovecraft. I can see that. And I will accept that challenge. I have a Necronomicon, The Best Weird Tales. I have The Doom That Came to Sarnath, and I have dark fantasy short stories, all by Lovecraft. And what? Steve, are you okay? He's like, this is kind of heavy. Well, you're my assistant. This is your job. I'm not even having you hold the Necronomicon. The Necronomicon is like almost 900 pages, even though I know you love a Necronomicon. Anyways, I read The Call of Cthulhu, and I loved it. So I definitely want to read more Lovecraft this year. I don't know. All right, are there any Poe fans out there? Because Steph wants us to read more Poe. And I have these. That one is the Barnes & Noble one. Some classic stories. That's Tales of Mystery and Terror. I got that from Book Outlet. And I got this from Book Outlet as well. Tales of Mystery and Madness. Which, I'm actually not going to lie, I actually already read this one. The art was so amazing that right when I got it out of the box, I actually read it right there. I'll show it to you up close. Isn't that cool? Like I said, I got this from Book Outlet. And like I said, I read Raven, and it had these as well. The Fall of House of Usher, Hot Frog, The Mask of Red Death, and The Black Cat. And they were all really, really good. I really liked The Fall of House of Usher and The Black Cat. The Black Cat was almost a little bit difficult for me just because my kind of trigger is animal cruelty. But, I mean, you're looking at a girl. I rooted for the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. So, but the Black Cat was still really good because I had a feeling he would get his comeuppance, you know what I mean? But yeah, the art, I recommend this book. The artwork was beautiful. So in a way, I've completed this goal, but I still want to continue to read more. Okay, guys, in this next one, please don't hate me for this. Andy wants us to read a YA cringe, is what I call it. Now, I have YA fantasy on my shelf, but I hesitate to reach for them because I read mostly adult books, but the main thing about YA that drives me crazy is when a love story overshadows the plot. It's kind of like I go into the book, it sounds great, it's kind of like going to a Mexican restaurant. Like, I want my enchilada, rice, and beans. They give you chips and salsa, and you're like, that's great. It's free. It's not that I don't like chips and salsa. It's nice. And then they come back out, and they're like, hey, your food's stalling. We had to go catch the chicken. So you're like, okay. And they give you more chips and salsa, and they give you free queso dip. And you're like, okay, this is awesome. I didn't expect this. I could smell the chicken. Can I get some? And then they give you a free margarita as well. Then all of a sudden it's a love triangle. And you're like, okay, I'm filling up on all this food that I didn't really want when all I wanted was my enchilada. So that is pretty much how I feel about YA love stories in books. They tend to just fill you up. And then I don't really get what I came for. Does that make sense? So for this one, I chose A Shadow Bright and Burning by Jessica Cluess. I wanted to read this, but it literally has in the description of something that makes me cringe, which is there's like 3 guys vying after this girl. But she is like the first female sorceress, and she's chosen to be in to train at Her Majesty's court, and it involves demons. So the plot sounds really good because it sounds, bloody demons, a sorceress. She's the first female. It's not that long of a book, so it was $1.99 at Ollie's. I'm going to give it a try. It could be... All right, and then Data wants us to read sci-fi, specifically working our way up to Dune. I don't read a lot of sci-fi. Dune is by Frank Herbert. They call it the Lord of the Rings of sci-fi. So it's supposed to be this classic. It's won all these awards. All I know about it is it's supposed to take place on a desert planet and a man trying to raise his family there. And that's all I need to know. It sounds great. I'm definitely going to check it out this year. So Spawn by Shawn Hudson is about a man who works at a hospital who takes the bodies of babies who are supposed to go into the basement furnace. He takes them to his shack and buries them in a cemetery. And lightning strikes the cemetery. The babies come alive and start feeding on the people at the hospital. So that sounds like an 80s horror movie that I would probably watch, honestly. So when I get in the mood for that, I'll definitely check that out. And now Illuminae, I have actually already read, but I wanted to show this version. I have the hardcover. This is the book that actually got me started into sci-fi a few years ago. I was branching out into that genre because I never read it. And I picked the right one. Illuminae was really, really good, but I just bought this version at Ollie's for like $1.99. So this is going to be the book this version that I bookmark and stuff like that, because this is one of my favorite books. This is about a girl and a boy named Ezra and Katie. They've just broken up, but they're attacked. They have to leave on separate ships. Their planet is attacked or whatever. And you add in on that, they are being pursued by their attackers, a zombie-like virus, and an AI that is supposed to be on their side, but it has sort of evolved and gone quote-unquote wrong. His name is Aiden. But he's actually, I don't care what anybody says, he's actually probably my favorite character. Aiden is poetic. And the fact that a computer and AI can be almost, when they get poetic, it just kind of gets to you. Now this book is told in like files. They call it Illuminae files. It's supposed to feel like when you hold it that you're reading something that you're not supposed to be reading, because this is here, let me show you, because the files and everything are a collection of them trying to get their story out. But you can't, if that bothers you, you can listen to the audio version. I have listened to the audio version. The audiobook is really, really good. But the only downfall of the audio is that you don't get stuff like this. Oh, sorry, Mama. This makes it more personal and more emotional. It shows like pictures of the casualties. And then you have stuff like this. Sorry, Dylan. Like, you're not going to get that from the audiobook. And then the battle scenes are told. It looks long, but it's a really fast read, but I highly recommend Illuminae. And I will. All right, and the Magnificent Inferno wants us to set sail for the library. I definitely need to go to the library more. I used to go all the time. The librarians knew me by name, but I moved away. I had moved back, reissued my library card, and I definitely want to get more involved in the library. It's not about just going there and checking out books. It's about a sense of book community. Talking to librarians, find out the festivals that are going on, looking at the billboards, things like that. So when I went and got The Fall by Bethany Griffin. This is a story, speaking of Poe, this is a story about a girl and her twin brother. They live at the house of Usher. They are ushers. And the house is destined to drive them to madness. But she thinks that she can overcome it until she wakes up in a coffin. And this was actually a back borrow, I guess you could call it. It's not a buy, it's a library. But the house on the back really got me. It's creepy and it looks pretty awesome. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna go to the library more. And okay guys, last one. This is the big one. This is my dilemma. This is where I need advice. So Sloth wants me to read an adult high fantasy. Adult high fantasy, huge world building, a lot of characters, and a magic system is not something I read, and it does intimidate me, but I really want to read The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss and Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series. So those are my goal, but I feel like I need to work up to them. And last year I read Runebinder by Alex Collier, and this was really good. It did not have a lot of world building, but it did have a magic system. And on a scale of 1 to 10, the magic system was probably about a 6 of difficulty for me, just because I'm not used to it. And it took me a little longer to read this book because of it, but it was still really good, and I'm glad I did it. So I got confident, and I was like, let me read one more fantasy before jumping in on Mistborn. And unfortunately, I chose a book that was really popular, but was not for me. It was Strange the Dreamer by Leigh Bardugo, I believe. I DNF'd it once, and then I tried it again, and I did finish it, but it deterred me from moving on to fantasy because everybody loves that book, but I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I've read other stuff by her, but I think it's because it was very lyrical, and I loved Laszlo Strange. That's the reason I finished the book, is the character building I loved him. He was amazing. But there's a lot of metaphors in that book. And like I said, it was very lyrical. And her writing's good. It's just the style I didn't love. But it deterred me from furthering on to other fantasies last year. But it was still, I could see why other fantasy readers love that book, but it just wasn't for me. So I'm going to try again this year. But now I don't know, should I read? I was thinking maybe about reading some middle grade books that have a lot of world building to work my way up to it. So I grabbed these. They had this at Ollie's, City of Thirst by Carrie Ryan and John Davis. This is the Map to Everywhere series, but this is the second one. It was only $1.99, so I was like, why not? But I got the first one at Thrift Books for really cheap. And this sounds really good. It does sound like it has a lot of world building. It's called the Map to Everywhere series. But this girl is a suburban girl trying to find her way home, and he's from the pirate world trying to find his mom. And they're looking for the pieces to the Map to Everywhere to do so. And along the way, there is a bad guy also trying to find the pieces on a ghost ship, it sounds like. So this sounds like it's right up my alley, like something I would enjoy. And this will give me some world building. But I don't think it's going to have like a magic system in it. So I don't know if maybe I should read those and then maybe reread Runebinder, because I know I love that, and then jump into one of these, maybe Mistborn, or maybe if I should just get a feel for Brandon Sanderson and read Skyward, which is more of a sci-fi. My library had this. Yes, the library again. And just so I get a feel for the author. Or I could read Warbreaker. I have that one as well. I think that's a standalone. So then I would read a fantasy. But so I don't know which one I should do. So that's why I'm kind of asking for advice and help, because I really want to read The Name of the Wind, and I want to read this series. And who knows, this series may not be for me, but I definitely want to be confident in adult high fantasy and not be intimidated by it at all, because that book intimidates me and the series intimidates me. And I definitely I'm a Goonie. I overcome any intimidation. So just give me some advice of what you think I should do, what you would do if you've ever been in a situation like this. Like, should you start off with middle grade, or should I just maybe jump right in to maybe Mistborn and then work my way up to this? Leave me a comment below. I'm going to end it there. Thanks guys for sticking around. Let me know of your goals. If there's any books that you want me to get to sooner, so I could give you a review on them that you think sound really, really good. But again, leave me a like, a sub. Let's have some conversations. Thanks for sticking around again, and I hope y'all have a good one. Thanks. Bye. Say bye, Steve. What do you mean you can't feel your legs?